Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folani. Our guest this morning, I got Mr. Nelson, well, comrade actually, because if a person is a human rights activist, he doesn't use Mr. again. You know, it becomes comrade. So you're very welcome, Comrade Nelson Ekujimi.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Indeed. And our friend, he's been gone for a while, but we're so happy to have him back, Mr. Ahmed Dada Abbas. He's a public affairs analyst and a legal practitioner. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Thank you for having me.
We might be smiling, but there's not very much cheering news. The World Bank has been warning, well, not so much warning as announcing that 7 million more Nigerians, according to figures at its disposal, have been pushed into poverty by rising prices. And then the organized private sector weighed in on the matter and says that we are going through the worst economic development period in recent memory. So as I was saying, not very much cheering news. Now, as for the prices thing, just about every Nigerian will be able to at least nod their head to that. Whether the prices that they are experiencing, that just things go up in Nigeria and never come down. There was a time we used to say that, but this is even beyond that. And so we'll look at it today. I imagine, because I was getting the impression from communication that was coming from the presidency, there's so many communication professionals in the presidency, that it's a struggle, but that Nigeria still has reason to be able to count some advances and some developments, especially in the area of infrastructure. But all of that, for some reason, doesn't translate as far as World Bank is concerned. And here we have it, that no less than 7 million more Nigerians, in spite of all the poverty reduction schemes and efforts of the federal government. Let me, would you like to open, Ahmed? How did that news grab you? And one is worried. Prices, inflation, 7 million more Nigerians in poverty, according to 2020 World Bank figures.
I'm actually not surprised, because if you have lived in Nigeria in the past 1 to 3 years, and you have family members, you relate with the society and communities, I mean, you will know that that's not a far-fetched statistics. The economy has been down, there's unemployment, and poverty level, prices are rising, skyrocketing. And for that statistics churned out by the World Bank, I think it's not far-fetched. It's not a question of someone not liking the government or the president or the government of the day. It is just the reality. Things are really bad, and we need to say it the way it is. Things are really bad.
And more importantly, also maybe get cracking on some ways to solve the matter. Nelson, how do you see this this news?
Well, when I saw that report yesterday, I think that report spoke the obvious, because as a Nigerian, as a family man, as a grassroots person, in the last couple of months, I've been very, very disturbed. In fact, if I tell you that I normally sleep 7 hours a day, because of this issue, my sleep time has been cut to maybe 5. I'm worried by the astronomical rise in the price of basic commodities, and the push of about 7 million Nigerians into poverty is not only the worrying aspect for me, it is the family crisis that I can foresee. Because as we speak, a paint robber, let me speak as normal, the layman on the street.
Oh, okay. That's 5-liter paint bucket. Yes.
Of Gary.
Yes.
Is about 1,200 or 300 naira now. So it means if care is not taken, we will see more of domestic violence.
And you can't really get more inexpensive than Gary.
Gary, that anybody should be able to afford. And for me, I think the authorities need to take this message home and start working on how to address this, deficiency or shortcoming that has been itemized by the World Bank. And we know that even if you're actually Nigerian, if we want to be honest with ourselves, the truth of the matter is that the disposable income of the average Nigerian family has been greatly eroded.
By inflation, and this is this is what the World Bank says is affecting the situation in Nigeria. Inflation has always been a problem, but governments, Nigeria is not alone there. Governments are always trying to keep inflation down. So I suppose this is the same as saying, that we need to tame the forces of inflation. So how to go about that is probably what economists are going to be grappling with, and it never is a pleasant exercise, at least for the people.
Yes, I think one of the things that this government can actually do is that when a nation has a challenge, we mustn't look at it purely from when people complain. It must not be interpreted on the platform of politics, that, people are playing politics, or the president is doing very well, the administration is doing very well. For me, I've always said statistics from the Ministry of Finance, from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, is not a true reflection most times of the realities, because we know that figures and statistics can be doctored. If you want to know whether an economy is performing, gauge the performance of an economy or an administration by the report of the people in the street, the market woman. Because most times these people are not interested in the politics of PDP and APC. They simply want to wake up in the morning, find cheap means of transport to get to their place of work. Every family wants to wake up in the morning, have 1,000 naira, be able to buy bread and put food on the table for your family. So in sincerity, I think the government needs to sit back and look at the complaint and decide to go for men and women in Nigeria with the expertise to give them advice. Most times, those who have solution to the problem you are trying to solve may not necessarily be within your circle. They could be outside your circle, and there's nothing wrong. And for me, as a Nigerian, I have so much confidence in the competence of the Nigerian people, in terms of manpower, in terms of intellect, in terms of dexterity, in terms of brilliance, in terms of smartness. We have them in abundance. We need humility. The government needs to calm down, because the honest truth is that in the area of economy, because when the president was coming, there were three things he said he was going to fight: insecurity, the economy, and corruption. As of today, the economy is in bad shape. And the president must be told in clear terms by those who are his aides. Things are really bad. It's not about politics. It's not about somebody hating APC. The economy is bad. Okay. And to resolve it is for them to extend hands to those that can give them sound economic advice.
Okay. I imagine that when we say the economy is bad, the World Bank put some figures to it. They say we're running at 18.12%, 18.12% inflation rate as of April 2020, and the unemployment ratio is 33.3%. It's a funny figure, exactly a third. I think that's what that means when they say the unemployment rate is 33.3%. Does that mean that something like a third of the workforce is actually not in employment?
Absolutely.
That's what that means.
Yes, for every 3 Nigerians, it means that you have just 2 working. So you can imagine the population. And I think
the largest in Africa.
Largest in Africa.
In Africa or West Africa?
In Africa.
There you go.
If we assume that we have an estimated population of 200 million persons and 33%, so you can do the mathematics.
Can you imagine
yes,
that?
You can do the mathematics.
Yes. So maybe the president was talking about needing. It's not as if, from what I'm hearing, especially the president, he's spoken in the last week. He spoke. He packed a lot into a short space, and he's been saying that this is something that must be tackled. So it's not as if they don't know, but these are forces. These are economic forces. What is it that has jacked up inflation rate? What? It's not 20%, but 18.12%. It's close enough. So I suppose those are the kind of things that they need to be talking to. They need to be addressing. Because the prices in the market are simply outstripping the ability of people to buy. with this, what this then means is that I can see that poverty. Somebody was talking about a bag of gari earlier. Or is it a mudu? It's not a mudu.
A paint rubber.
A paint can of
yes. That's
costing 1,200 now.
Yeah.
So if you're not careful, when they can't afford that, what's going to happen? You probably buy only half, which is what you can afford.
We don't have the consequences are that we will have malnourished children. And when we are talking about this rising costs in the price of goods and services, we recognize that COVID-19 came and did, incalculable damage. We also
to everybody in the world.
Everybody in the world, Nigeria not an exception. We also recognize that insecurity has played a large part because farmers can no longer go to the farm, and the low productive capacity of the Nigerian economy as a result of epileptic power supply has contributed in no small measure. So because as that yesterday I heard that the power grid dropped, that we have about maybe 2,000 plus megawatts now, instead of when this government came into office and the improvement they've been able to achieve in that sector to drive the economy. Once we have these areas that we are lacking, I believe we will continue to grapple with problems like this. But one of the ways as a layman that I believe we can address some of these problems, which is staring us all in the face, it does not, because like we say, poverty does not discriminate whether you are APC or PDP or DPP. Poverty has no color. Is that I think the time has come for government to, like Mr. Abbas there rightly said, to look at these figures and start serious work. And one of the ways I want to suggest, from my own understanding, is that we look at the taxes on some of these products. How do we cut or reduce those taxes for now so that the prices of these basic necessities will be able to drop? Maybe
we'll come back to that, but in terms of what is causing these problems, I like some of the things you touched on. Security, all of this is going to come back to security. Because when there is no security, the president himself admitted as much, even though he said we were doing better in some areas of that particular discipline, security, than in others. But when you don't have security, don't forget the president is also quick to explain to us that we have a paucity of funds to do all that we need to do. We know what we need to do, but what do? We have to prioritize. So the focus on insecurity and trying to get on top of it is costing Nigeria a pretty penny, and I imagine that the result is that there is not enough left over for the actual business of governance.
And apart from that, you see, no nation can develop without international and foreign capital. They are not stupid. They won't take their capital to an environment where the life of people is as worthless as a toilet paper. I'm sorry to say. Yes.
Yeah.
That is. See, the other
an unstable environment.
Yes. Because
the president said so the other day.
It's sad that.
Is it just last week?
It's sad that you read the newspaper, you hear 70 people killed in Adamawa, 80 people killed in Zamfara, 53 people killed in Zaria, 50 people killed in this thing, and it has become like a norm. And the other day, we actually arguing with Twitter why they had to go and relocate or set up shop or business in Ghana. I mean, nobody wants to go to an unstable environment. They want to go to an environment where their businesses are secured. Therefore, the onus is on us as a nation that if we want to attract foreign direct investment, we should make our home and our nation conducive for them to bring in their capital.
Yeah, because what this simply shows is that whereas in the northeast, where the security situation is probably the most, what is the word now? Yes, sort of urgent. That the president told us they are getting on top of that now. Those people are directly feeling the impact of all this insecurity. But has it not extended to the entirety of Nigeria? This very insecurity, it is affecting food production, In fact, I think when I was looking at the papers this morning, the organized private sector is warning against food inflation. That's also in there. And when I'm talking about the organized private sector, it comprises people like the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. There's also Nigeria Association, of Chambers of Commerce, NACSIMA, the Association of Small Scale Industries. So all these people who do know are telling us that things are very, very bad. So this insecurity thing, you might not be in that much of a danger of being kidnapped, but you can't eat properly.
Yori, let me paint an illustration of the insecurity damage on the economy. Mm-hmm. Assuming now, as a businessman, I want to go from Lagos to Ilorin. Because of this insecurity, I'm not able to travel again. Ordinarily, if I had gone, I would have gone by transportation, which means I would have fueled a car or entered a bus or an aeroplane. That means that business is generating income. And if I had gotten to Ilorin, I won't stay on the road. I will look for somewhere to put my head down. Yeah. That means my disposable income, I'm spending it somewhere. That hotel or wherever is getting some money. And while in Ilorin, I'll take breakfast or lunch.
All these knock-on effects.
That's the vivid illustration.
Yeah, all of this has been wiped out. So there's hardly anything circulating. I'll come to you. Mr. George, good morning and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and greetings to your guests.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, you don't need to be a prophet to know that insecurity is the cause of what is going on now. You cannot operate in an insecure environment, whether it is business, whether it is socioeconomic, any socioeconomic activity. So the result is scarcity of what to eat, and then skyrocketed prices of things. That is what will happen. People do not have access to farms anymore. The things we eat come from the farms. And if people cannot go to farms, where will the food come from? That's why it is important that the government should effectively do insecurity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is Mr. President is boasting of what he will do to this, what he will do to that. As a common Nigerian, I'm not interested in that. I want to see action. I will do you this, I will do you that, will not solve the problem. We want to see something being done.
Yeah.
The kidnappers that are not allowing people to move around and do their business. The security agencies, they know where they are. Take them out. How many of them he has ordered that they should be killed, or whoever is seen with an AK-47 to be shot at sight? Has that been done? None. So the government should sit up.
Okay.
I'm calling on the president to please take this matter seriously before it gets worse than what it is now.
Okay. All right, then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in.
I just wanted to add to what my brother said. Now, if you go to the road, you see that the number of transports on the road has reduced drastically. People think twice before going on any trip now. If you can avoid it, you avoid it. Sometimes a trip that ordinarily about 20 people should go, you have to be strategic for security reasons to say, look, we have to reduce this number of persons down so that we can also, reduce the risk we are likely going to face on the road. I traveled by road some few months ago to a place in Edo. We were going, at a point in time, I had to tell the driver to stop that. I don't know why the road is this empty. Is this empty?
It was concerning.
Yes, it was, normally you should see vehicles coming to and fro. At a point in time, I said, why is the road so deserted? And they said the number of vehicles, and that is the reality of the security situation in Nigeria. And the multiplier effect is what we are seeing, the poverty, like he has rightly said. Every sector of the economy has been affected. And we just need to be honest with ourselves. The situation is critical.
Okay. Mrs. Ladeji, did I get that right, in Jos?
Yes. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Good morning to your guests.
Indeed, thank you.
Good morning.
Please, I have one thing to say in the first place. When people are talking with media, venting their anger, please allow them to talk. We are angry because we are hungry and we are dying by the hour. We can't go to Asorok. You see people that we are going to send to them. Let them know that we are hurting. Let them know that we are hungry. Let them know that we are angry. Your program, I love very much. Journalist Angel and what is his name? Your choice or your money, whatever it is. When people are angry, you people will try to pass them down to. Let us talk in the language that the government must hear.
Okay.
3 children in my village here. I live in a small village here. Government secondary school fees of 5,000. Children are home. Parents cannot afford it. Is that a country? People, my this month when I went to my shopping this month for my this month, I'm a pensioner. The same thing I buy every month. My bill went up by 7,850. Have they increased my pension since I had 10 years down retirement? Uncle Yori, let us talk to government in the language they will understand. People children are in school. People children are in school.
The language they will understand.
You will be looking for a ransom to pay.
Okay.
And they have money. They are earning millions every month. Nobody is touching them. They have all the security of Nigeria in their pockets.
Okay.
Please, Uncle Yori, let us vex anger. Through you people, tell them we are hungry.
Okay.
And then here we are angry. I don't want to hear all the running figure of economy. Please let them better Nigeria. Otherwise, we break loose on government through our prayers. In Jesus' name.
Thank you very much for calling in, ma'am. What does one say? She noted that she's angry,
yes,
as many Nigerians are angry.
Yes.
And she's saying, in fact, that she reprised Mr. President's language. You know, let us speak to government in the language that they will understand. You know, it is the president who first of all used that expression that he'll be talking to some people. But you see, ma'am, and other people who might be thinking along that whole line, I take what you're saying totally, but you see, there are professional guidelines that we ourselves, at pain of, you know, peril and sanctions, have to do our best to uphold. People can be as critical as they want. It is only when it crosses over to abuse that we have to step in. So I won't go through the entire guidelines, but just that's enough. That be as critical as you want, but if it is determined that certain aspects of it were abusive, that's where the problem comes in. But we don't want to waste too much time. But thank you very much for calling in. And to the substance of what you are saying, that you can feel it. You told us just now how your bill had gone up by, what, 8,000 odd naira. Nobody has bothered to increase your pension. This is exactly what we're talking about. If people are on a borderline case, this is a very, very serious matter. But maybe we'll be getting the commentary from the presidency through the communication people in there too, because I'm not sure the extent to which the presidency, the federal authorities are down with this, you know, central bank report.
I think the challenge,
World Bank.
If we want to be honest with ourselves, I think the challenge the leaders, whether governor and the president, sometimes they have, is that their aides are sometimes not very honest with them in bringing to their attention the reality of the pain and the frustration of the people. The right to be critical of any government that is not performing should be taken as a right.
And I think Nigerians have that.
Because you can't employ the services of a chief executive officer over a company, and you are a shareholder, and the company is not performing. Now you are raising, you are raising a concern over the fortune of the company, and the CEO is telling you that you do not have that right. I think we must hold our leaders accountable because they are privileged. In fact, those positions are like a CEO applying for a job. And that's why there's a midterm review of 4 years. That at the end of the 4 years, we are going to look at the books. If you do very well, we will reward you.
Okay. You know, actually, you and Mr. President are on the same page, because this idea that you've expressed just now, Mr. President also expressed it in one of those 3 interviews that he did, that look, when people are elected and must be held accountable. He gave the example of some governors coming to him and said, go back, go back. Yes. You campaigned, you were elected. Now you have to do the job. Emeka in Bagada, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please go ahead now.
Okay, based on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria.
We're looking at it through the central bank, the World Bank report that 7 million more Nigerians have joined the poverty line as a result of rising prices. And we are saying that insecurity is part of that.
Hello?
Carry on, please, Emeka. Go on, please.
I think I want to...
I think we lost him because he just came in on insecurity. We deal with that topic often, but we're looking through the prism now of the World Bank report that 7 million more Nigerians have joined the poverty line by their reckoning.
I think I want to disagree with my brother, Mr. Abbas,
which aspect of it?
We said it's like the government listening only to its aides. I believe as a leader, there are so many channels of communication with the society. Your aides and other independent channels. I don't think any leader will, listen to or take, communication from only one channel.
And there are aspects of it where the president himself told us that nobody told me. Nobody told me. I see these things. I know what's going on.
It's just like being in the house.
Yes, people
it's
say
not only what your wife tells you, you take as the gospel truth. You look for that from other sources to confirm or disconfirm whatever.
So you're saying Mr. President knows about this?
He knows about it, but the truth of the matter is that at this stage, I think we must admonish ourselves as Nigerians. The way and manner some Nigerians are going about being mischievous. Just this morning, I watched a video of somebody who claimed he was shot in the left hand by some criminals. And in another video, you saw this, he was shot on the left hand. And in another video, the injury is now on the right hand. So the mischief, the exaggeration, the attempt to escalate the insecurity is not helping matters.
Like almost like blackballing government, you say.
Yes.
That is,
and also we must call on the security agencies, and those are the aim of our affairs, that whatever resources and materials that is needed to combat this security. Just yesterday, the Emir of Zauzau came out publicly to raise an alarm over his emirates.
Yes.
So for me, it is disturbing.
Okay, Obi in Jos, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
I am a medical doctor and I practice in Jos.
Okay.
There's a perspective of this level of poverty that I think is being ignored. I'll give you an example. A 65-year-old grandmother comes into the clinic. She has hypertension, diabetes, unable to buy her drugs. And she says the reason she cannot buy it is because 3 of her sons are unemployed. So she's taking care of all the children. The oldest son was killed on a farmland somewhere. And she chooses to stay without her drugs to put food on the table. Now, for me as a clinician, that is a perfect example of the level of poverty in my country. Nobody is considering these people. We give statistics, we give data, but this data represents real life that are being lost every day. These grandchildren will not go to school. They will grow up as aggressive Nigerians. Nobody is addressing this, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for calling in. Really appreciate that call, trying to, put faces put human faces to the figures, to the statistics. And that was a marvelous example that she saw in her clinic, she sees in her clinic. And I imagine there are doctors up and down the land. And that is just one aspect of how this whole thing comes out. Because especially once the economists get hold of, this information and this story, of course, they can dissect it all sorts of ways. But at the end of the day, the Nigerian is actually suffering. Mind you, not all Nigerians are suffering, but that's another aspect of insecurity. I'm talking about corruption here, where the ground is not level, let it be said, in this beloved country of ours. And these are part of the things that the president had said that he would deal with when he came in. What that doctor just told us there reminds me very much of Dr. Obi. It reminds me of Obamacare in the U.S. Maybe any hope of Buhari care?
Well, I don't. That should fall within the purview of our National Assembly men, because when she was saying that, it just came to mind that, look, those are the kind of laws that are social in nature. What says the National Assembly cannot make law, or our state assembly make laws to say, look, people from certain age, maybe the infants, should have access to free medical care, and the senior citizens should also have access to free medical care, and our children should have, like the issue of insecurity that we are talking.
Are doing that individually.
Yes, like the issue that the insecurity in the north actually was fueled by food soldiers who were not educated. What says at this level, having analyzed the challenges that we have with uneducated people, if the National Assembly or the State Assembly comes and say, you know what, we need to raise the level of illiteracy in this nation, why don't we make education, primary school and secondary school, free and compulsory? Because sometimes we say we don't have the money, but we know that the money...
Can we afford it?
Sir, you see, if we shouldn't lie to ourselves in this nation.
Okay, I'm going to come back so you can conclude on the matter. Yes. But Daddy in Abuja, good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Please go ahead. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to the guests in the house.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead now.
I just want to contribute about this issue of insecurity, sir.
Okay, the insecurity part. Are you going to relate it to 7 million more Nigerians joining the poverty line, according to World Bank?
Yes, I'm going to relate it to 7 million. But one thing I want you to understand, sir, is that the million is just the World Bank is giving us. But there are some subjects that are under that 7 million who are depending on each of individual under that 7 million. So which means we are having more than 7 million Nigerians that are in that line of poverty. And if we don't find solution to this insecurity, gradually it will affect all sectors. Like now, the MTN is complaining that they will not be able to guarantee us our network in some area due to the security of their staffs. And if this keeps on going on, gradually, what we don't expect might happen. So I just believe what your guests in the house have said is that we should look into it. From farming, if there's no more production, is what we have that we will depend on. And when we exhaust what we depend on, many Nigerians are aggressive. We are aggressive because we are not pleased with what is going on.
Yeah.
After the issue of coronavirus, now we are having increase in many things. The minimum wage cannot even buy a bag of rice, talk less of buying the ingredients, paying the house rent and transportation to work. So this level of poverty is more than 7 million because there are many hosts under that 7 million. That is my take today, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Dari. I can see your logic. In fact, it occurs to me now that from the information that we get from communication people from the presidency, the figure might have been worse. It might have been 10, might have been 12 million. I say that because they are constantly telling us of efforts aimed at poverty alleviation, all these trader money schemes and all those kind of things. So if all of that is going on and it still hasn't rectified the situation as much as to not have the World Bank come and tell us that 7 million people, more people. And as Dari was just analyzing from there are some of those 7 million people that actually there are people who depend on them. So in that way, that has worked it out that never mind 7 million, it's more than 7 million. But it could have been worse if government hadn't done something.
Well, maybe they are not doing enough. That's what we should say. They are not doing enough.
Mr. President admitted as much.
They are not doing enough. That's the reality, because it is the people ultimately that will be the judge of the performance of their government, not what the government says of itself. It is the people. And if out of 10 people, 6, 7 are saying you are not doing very well, I think we need to listen to those people who are complaining.
And one of the more telling examples of this, there are all sorts of variations on the theme, but Dr. Obida called him from Jos and told us that heart-wrenching story of a grandmother who has had to take over her grandchildren because her children are on 3, no less, of her children are unemployed. Really, in order to put all the figures and the statistics into context, that is a telling example right there. But the point about the federal authorities is not as if they are not doing anything. As Dada said, maybe they're not doing enough. Maybe when I say they're not doing enough, Mr. President would come in, I'm imagining him now and saying that, well, we can't afford to do everything that we would like to do.
Yes, as laymen.
Yes, it's
the factors or the indices confronting those in government, not everything will be open to us outside there. And like you have rightly said, maybe it is because of the efforts they have put in that has been able to reduce this figure. But be that as it may, what we are saying is that the government still needs to do more.
Yes.
One of the beauty of this government is that the massive investments that this government has made into agriculture
and infrastructure.
And infrastructure is being gradually eroded by the soaring price of goods and services. Because when this government came in, the Anchors Boer scheme, it was so successful in the rice production segment that, there was this clamor for it to be taken into other sector of the agricultural business. And if today, because of insecurity that has led to skyrocketing inflation that has pushed 7 million people more into poverty line, estimatedly, then it means the government still has a lot to do.
Friday in Kano. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your handwork. May God reward you what you are doing.
Thank you very much.
This government are failed. They are failed Nigerians. Woefully. Because the way things are going now, the thing is getting out of hand. All their promises, the security, light, water, whatever, they are failed. All the promises they failed. There's no one they would fulfill it. So all of us are angry with them. For 6 years now, there's nothing we can achieve from them for APC. You see? So please, whatever we say now, please put it on them. Let us say that they will hear us. We are angry with them.
They are hearing you. Actually, they are hearing you.
They are angry. The youth are angry.
Thank you very much for calling in. Who exactly the they is, but they are hearing. They listen. They read papers.
Yes,
they listen to radio.
Yes,
they watch television.
I think one of the things that this government can do is that, believe me honestly, within the lifespan of a government, you can't solve all the nation's problems. Before you came, there were problems. During your tenure, there will be problems. And after you have gone, there will be problems. The most critical approach to leadership is being able to prioritize, being able to put your finger on one thing that you can do that can be like a
sort of a legacy project.
Yes. For example, an American president called his economic advisors and said, what do I need to do to take America out of recession? They said, on the one hand, Your Excellency, you can do this. On the second hand, you can do this. All the 3 economics advisors said, on the one hand, you can do this. On the second hand, you can do this. The man banged his hand on the table and said, get out, get me one-handed economist. I need a one-handed man that will tell me exactly what I need to do. The security situation in Nigeria must be addressed holistically for us to have a scene, because every other thing borders on the insecurity that we are facing today.
Okay.
Nobody wants to come into an environment, the farming we are talking about, industries and all the rest of them, they are byproduct of an insecure environment. And so we really need to tackle it.
Okay. Let me just welcome Mukhtar Mohammed, who is also joining the program. He's joining it remotely. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you for making time for us. Okay. All right now. Now, I've quickly got to go to Bashir, who has called in from Ogun State. Good morning, Bashir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, it's nice to be with you guys here this morning. I'm towing the path of earlier callers. Hello?
Okay, go on. Now we can hear you. Start again, please.
Oh, good.
Start again.
Yeah, I will say good morning to you.
Oh, yeah, we got that.
Good morning. Yeah, I will want to tow the path of earlier callers to join in venting my anger with people we have kept in trust. We gave governance in trust. But what I see that is wrong with this country is that there is absolute power vested in the hand of the executives. They are destroying our lives and making hypocrisy of it. They tell us lies every day. The president's most common statement is, I assure you. We are assuring of nothing. We appear like fools being toyed with by these people who we have with power. We need to transcend this level.
Okay. So for you,
the welfare of the people in every part of the world.
For you, Bashir, it seems
the leaders in this country begins to see the people as human beings and not figures.
All right.
So, through the human perspective, the World Bank is concerned that we are sinking into poverty. I can tell you, multiply 7 million by 3. At least that will be close to the figure. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Bashir, calling in from Ogun State. Now, let me come over to you, Mukhtar. We're told that 18.12% is what the inflation rate is running at, and unemployment is at 33.3%. Put that into perspective. How bad is that?
Very bad, Okuyori. So bad. Unfortunately, the president just told us through his broadcast some weeks ago that he has been able to take about 10.5 billion Nigerians out of poverty.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, the World Bank came up with their report. So this solidly put to rest every skepticism that we had about what the president has said. But you can see the World Bank does not have the data that they have. You can see that they will say they have better data than what the World Bank is working with. You understand? And I'm expecting that Bashir will confirm additional come up with that before the end of the day. I trust they will come up with that and say no, they are not agreeing with what the World Bank is saying. Now, when you look at inflation, then you look at poverty. When you have inflation and the people are impoverished, then you have more poverty. Because what we're seeing now, we are seeing a nation that is in serious inflationary problem, and we're seeing that the earning power of the Nigeria is not going up, and then we are seeing a nation that is also gradually switching into a debt problem. So what we are seeing now is a child play to what we might see if something drastic is not done.
It's not done. Okay. One moment, please. Joseph in the UK. Good morning, sir.
Yes, my name is Joseph Karonwi, actually. And I want to see it from a different perspective. We Nigerians, we gather here in UK, we had a meeting, actually, and 5 of us said from our own experiences, the problem is our value system has been destroyed. Let me tell you why. 5 of us, professionals, we have invested over 5 million naira each in the last 2 months. And what happened in businesses? We started businesses. Those we employed, the youth we employed, looted everything. So, for us, we are not bringing any money in. It's not looted by insecurity. It's not looted by government, but looted by the people we employed to run those businesses. And at the end of the day, they will join the unemployment market. So what we have to look at is we look at ourselves. Don't look at just the government. Who are the government? Who are these people really? Most people are just on Instagram or whatever. They are looking at others to live their life. But if you employ them, they will loot everything. I'm not going to bring any money into that system when the people you employed, not government, not insecurity, but these same people looted those businesses.
Yeah.
That is our problem. Our value system has been eroded, and our family life needs to be rejigged. Thank you. Have a wonderful day in Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Indeed. God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much for calling in. Our value system, you say pay attention to the value system. Because I wonder how much credence you put on that we Nigerians ourselves, sometimes we do anyhow.
The man I hit the nail on the head. I just gave you a vivid example. Somebody does a video and said he was shot on the left arm by criminals of social extraction, and the next morning he comes up with another video that tells you that is a picture of the average Nigerian.
Fraud. Not average Nigerian. Not average Nigeria now.
Some of our people, like the caller said, we don't have values again.
Yes, but they have values and they are Nigerians.
Yes, they are Nigerians.
We have values and we are Nigerians.
Can I say something? I disagree vehemently
with
the position that
Joseph in the UK.
With the position that he has just taken. And the reason why I disagree, crime, misbehavior, immorality, they are not citizens of Nigeria. They are universal citizens.
Agreed.
See, the only reason why he could speak like that from UK, they have criminals in UK,
yes,
but the system is functional.
Okay.
They have criminals in United States of America, even those that invaded Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
We all saw them on video.
Yeah.
But the system works. If they embezzle your money, do you know? If anybody pays dollar into your account in US that is fraudulently acquired, and you report to FBI or any of their security, they will track down that money and ensure that that money is recovered and given to the person. The challenge we have is that we have criminality.
I just want to remind you, and you probably know already.
Yes.
Nigeria police has also achieved something like that, in a few scattered cases.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that the reason why we are where we are today is simply because the system has broken down. The institutions for law enforcement. Sir, if everybody can self-sanction him or herself, you do not have a need of a management in your organization. If everybody will come to work, if everybody will be prudent, if the accountant will not steal money, you do not need management to manage anything. Then you don't. You know what?
You know what, gentlemen? Ifeanyi is on the line from Niger State, and so I'll bring it back to the studio.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ifeanyi.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, family, sir. Hi,
Thank you very much.
Okay, please, we're talking about insecurity in Nigeria. Seriously, we that are here in Shiroro local government, we are facing a lot of challenges. And we keep on complaining, but it should be as if the government there are not hearing what we are saying. So that is exactly what the body knows. Because yesterday here, a woman came to me. She said she has reached up to 5 months now that she has been in Shiroro, and then pursue her all the way from the beach to here. And she's a farmer. And she said also her children and the husband are here. I even begging money because they came to my shop to beg. I was asking them, Mama, a strong woman like you are here begging. She told me that they are coming from all the way from those bush. So can you see the lot of things that is going on? But the problem is that even if you say everything, say it several and several times, think that what is God is continuing doing is doing. The government are not even acting on what you are even saying. They are not even care about what the masses are passing through. Some of their children are going to school abroad, doing so many things and also things in abroad. And we are here suffering it.
Okay.
Someone cannot sleep now with his 2 eyes closed. One day we will run, the other day we will sleep at our house.
Okay. I wanted to bring it back to our guest on remote. The figures you said are very bad: 18.12% inflation rate and an unemployment of 33.3%, precisely a third. So, as an economist, what exactly is the way out of this?
Uncle Yoro, the way out of this, the government knows the way out of it, but they don't have the political will to do it. We address economic issues from the top to the bottom approach, which will not give you any result. Economic issues are addressed from the bottom to the up. Who are the bottoms and who are the middle and who are up? You begin to look at it. But what we do here, we look at the rich. We give the environment for the rich. For the Nigerians that are doing well, we try to strangle the middle class, and those at the bottom, we don't even have anything for them. So what the government needs to do now is to do the bottom-up approach, whereby you look at the bottom, because over 70 to 80% of Nigerians are in the bottom. You need to look at what is their problem. Is it infrastructure? Is it capital? Is it insecurity that is driving them? You need to look at it and then address those problems. It is said in economic terms.
How about things like trader money? How about things like trader money under the management of the vice president and those kind of schemes?
Uncle Yori, let's not go there. Is it in the office? Is it in the place of the vice president to be giving trader money? Is that a constitutional responsibility of giving the CBN to directly intervene in any issues? The CBN is supposed to be a regulator. The conventional bankers are supposed to intervene directly through credit system from the CBN. So when the CBN that is supposed to be the regulator become the one that is addressing issues directly, the VP that is supposed to bring on is the one going to the market and giving people trader money. Is that what will solve our problem? Definitely not, Uncle Yori.
Right.
The problem is a systematic problem that needs to be solved with a system, with a level of approach, with a bottom to up approach.
Okay.
You don't just throw money at the problem. You need to know what the problem is, because sometimes money is not even the issue. It's the system that is not functioning.
And the political will. I got to take Ada in Jos. Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to you all. I know you're running out of time. It's Ada from Jos. Your last speaker now has said it all. That's what I had in my mind. But I want to tell you something. This 7 million that the World Bank...
7 million more.
It's more than that. And I want to throw more light on one of your guests' scenario about the cost of Gary.
Yes.
That pays the Gary, full of Gary, is that is between 1,200 or 1,300. Is for the white one. The yellow Gary is more expensive. Then there's one they call in Igbo parlance, Okerio. The handout is the Gary that you buy and you will buy. And people are forced to buy it because it's very cheap. So you know what that means. It will lead to more ailment and what have you. So that's where we are got to now. The government of the day, they know what is happening, Mr. Lori. They know what's happening. It's not like, and the major problem is insecurity.
Yeah.
If they cannot deal with this insecurity, we have problems. I was taken aback when I heard the DOC, 7th whatever in Medugli, when they have one party. He was appealing to the terrorists to repent, to come and be radicalized, whatever that means. All I'm saying is that if they say it's the approach they want to use, let them extend it to the others, and not saying that they teach the others in the language they understand, and then use deterrence on the Boko Haram, and then they sentiment on the others. If I may borrow the words of Senator Shehu Saini, or it's a lesson of Nigeria. Okay. That's my take this morning.
Thank you very much, Ada, and indeed for also appreciating that we're fast running out of time, which means that 30 seconds.
Yes,
you're just going to close now. 30 seconds.
The position of Omar on Zoom is a reflection of the broken values. The role that is traditionally supposed to be played by the commercial banks has been taken over by the CBN, because the commercial banks are not being run the way what they are set up for. They will circumvent, the rules. And my brother was talking about the system. It is the people that make the system work. When I was a young boy and I was growing up, during my days, you dare not cheat in an examination. Even before you are caught by the school, you know among your peers, the social value that controls our relationship. We already sanction you. So the issue about the loss of values is also responsible for where we are today.
Much more than 30 seconds, but thank you very much. Closing on this whole matter. Bottom-up approach, as we've been told by economists.
There are institutions for enforcing conduct not everybody would imbibe value or internalize values from their house. So when those ones who have not internalized any value find themselves in a system, the system should be able to sanction them as a deterrent to others, and everybody will learn. But once the system are broken down, everybody behaves the way they like. In abroad, why do they not run against the traffic or overspeed? Because they know there's a system that will sanction them. So that is it.
It's not so much about the value alone.
It's not just the value alone. There must be complementary aspect of public sanction.
Well, I want to thank you all, gentlemen, whether near, in studio, or remote, as our friend is. Thank you very much for coming on the program and making time for us today. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Polari. Bye-bye for now.